Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and peace be upon you. Today I'm speaking with my friend and colleague, Imam Wadood Junood. Imam Wadood Junood is a central missionary of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community currently serving in Western Australia, and he's also the Imam of the Nasir Mosque in Perth. Today, we're going to be talking about the first and most important pillar of Islam, which is the Shahada, the declaration of faith that is made when one converts to Islam. It is a simple yet profound statement which is the basis of the entire Islamic tradition. We felt the need for speaking about this topic in particular because we are now receiving 2 to 3 requests on a weekly basis of people from across Australia who would like to learn how to convert to Islam. So, in this episode, we hope to provide you a detailed explanation on the Shahada with a particular focus on how it can impact our modern lives, as is the main theme of this podcast. Expect to hear about the liberatory nature of the Shahada. What does it mean to believe in one God? Why Muslims emulate Muhammad, peace be upon him? And simply, how to convert to Islam and the challenges you may face in your journey. What we've noticed, and I think this is something you must have noticed as well on social media in particular, well, maybe two things. One is that there's a whole lot of confusion out there today in today's society, and there's this whole argument taking place on the world stage, particularly on social media, between the woke mob, as they call it, and the red pill movement, and now interestingly, another movement which has been around for 14 centuries now, but they've decided to name it so, is the green pill movement. And what we're seeing is there's a lot of confusion out there in society, particularly because of irreligiosity. But then at the same time, as I mentioned, the green pill movement, we've also got a lot of people being attracted to Islam and a lot of people turning to Islam. So maybe we can start here and ask you what's your take on this, or what have you been observing?
Absolutely. I mean, anyone, who follows any sort of media, they would know that Islam is the fastest, growing religion. And as you mentioned, especially, through social media, you see that a lot of these influences, even they are turning towards Islam or some of those basic or core Islamic values, and morals which are being challenged. Excuse me, sorry. Um, which are being, challenged in the world today, especially in the rise of, woke media or, um, this woke culture. So Islam, it's attracting a new fellowship.
And I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. So, for example, one person says, I have grown up in Australia with the lies and misinformation. I gave up on faith until the last few years, where I then read the Bible again and tried Christianity, but I couldn't relate. It sounds and feels like fiction. I then realized I had a opinion on Islam when I had no idea about it, so I decided to read the Quran, and I've never read something that I've related to as much as the Quran. It is it's like it was written on my morals and beliefs and felt right. I have then thought about converting to Islam since, but a few days ago I was researching more and it felt like my mind, body and soul all came into alignment with the decision to convert and felt like I already have, but now want to speak to someone about it more. I gave up drinking alcohol nearly a year ago. I'm very disciplined. I don't do drugs and eat healthy. I want to be part of spreading the truth of Islam and learn as much as I possibly can and start being around people of the same beliefs. Yeah, and there's several more. I mean, there's another. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
As you know, the recently we were actually supposed to record last week, but I was in Darwin, and at the exhibition on the True Islam exhibition that we had organized at the Royal Darwin Show. It's attended by nearly 20,000 people, every year. And, similar feedback, we were receiving from the people who were attending, that exhibition. And keep in mind, for those viewers who may not know Darwin, it's another territory It's a remote part of Australia, and it's a kind of country, it's a kind of outback where we had some concerns, going there, basically, the kind of feedback or the kind of backlash that we may receive. But in all honesty, in the 3, 4 days that we were there for the exhibition, people were just walking up and giving similar feedback to what you have just, read out, that, how important it is, for this awareness and education in regards to what true Islam really is, and its place in modern society in this day and age is something which cannot be compared to, perhaps the declining of, Christianity or decline of religion in general. So you see that decline happening in Australia and, of course, around the world with other faiths. And at the same time, you see a lot of people, turning towards Islam because how it has maintained, those values and those morals, some of which this person who messaged you, spoke about. And that's something that's unique to Islam because, you would have seen a lot of social media influencers talk about this as well, that how Islam stands for something, and just because of certain society or the woke culture, it doesn't it doesn't let go of those morals and values, which are, a core or essential part of Islam. So you see that, across Australia, especially now that I've been to Darwin as well. But as you've said, you receive messages on a daily basis of people who are, turning to Islam to answer some of those questions that may have been bothering them, over the course of their life.
Absolutely, and yeah, and this is from all over the place, and it's quite inspiring to hear that you've experienced the same thing in Darwin, because you would think that maybe this is something specific to people living in the major cities, and Darwin's well away from everything, right? So yeah, yeah, that's incredible, and yeah, I was going to the next thing that I was going to ask is what do you think is attracting people to Islam in particular? And you're absolutely right. It's the fact that Islam maintains it and has maintained its principles for the past 14 centuries and doesn't continuously change goalposts, right? And doesn't conform to the societal expectations, I think is a credit to Islam. And some religions, unfortunately, over time, adopt the values, you can say, of the society, or if not even the values. I mean, values, technically, there could be very good values that are already intrinsically part of a faith, but some religions would take upon certain cultures which would be maybe associated with associating partners with God, just so that they can make the religion relevant to the people of that society, and then eventually they would lose the religion itself. Whereas Islam's obviously maintained the idea that this or these principles are from God, and they're from the creator who has designed you with a specific blueprint and knows best how that blueprint needs to be utilized, right?